Actually, the center topic is weathered wood or weathering wood down to it like a found in the barn type of style. So that really is, I mean, object like the fuselage of a World War I aircraft has been found in the barn prior restoration or so, or maybe the pictures of the Horton in Chicago. They just have emerged. Here, this one, the wing kind of thing. That is a new kit released by Zucchemura, and there were some fantastic pictures from that restoration site in Chicago. And they just put it out of the prior to a restoration. They put it out of their store, and it looked very, very interesting. So there's also a few models in there. Uschi van der Rosten is a little brand that I got, now rolling since 3 years, and one of our focal products actually is that wood grain decal kind of thing that some of you may know. And usually we focus on fuselages as such from World War I aircrafts, for example, and it looks always brand new, pristine. We're also going to do that, use that, but we put it actually to one step further because inspired by this, I have developed a method how to use these wood grain decals to achieve the realistic wood grain effect, plus weathering it down that it really looks like very, very old. And this is where we start here. This is just a white painted fuselage, and this is where we're going to end up. All right. So you got some metal here, got some, from A to the Z. I'm gonna focus on just a small section here of that model, of that piece here, because we have some drying times with decals involved. I need to mask on top of a decal, and if we do it here wet and wet, it's not going to work. This is the reason why I have that piece with me. The first thing with those decals, and the nature of these decals, is that they are transparent. They're totally transparent. The only thing that we use actually from this decal is the wood grain as such, the hard to part thing. And when it is transparent, then we can adjust light and shadows and dark and color discoloration and so on. We can apply it by airbrush prior using the decal, and it will show through them. And this is a little bit what we can see here. Nothing of these shadows here is really random. We have them here around this little. Yep. Around this little, where are we? There, around the hedge here, for example, this excess hedge, and also some subtle shadings here along these lines, and also here in this corner, for example. Nothing of this is random, and we're gonna do that by airbrush. I am in love with a new product that just came out from a Slovak to be precise, manufacturer. This is called Mr. Paint, and these paints are actually that were from the nature of the outclad colors are made of. This is automotive paint. It dries very fast, allows you a very rapid working style. You don't need to wait very long. Actually, you can touch something on one end, paint it, make it like this, turn it around, touch it right there, and go on. It's absolutely fantastic. There's one thing, there's speed, but speed is not it. Also, quality is an important matter, and the vaporization properties of these paints are absolutely second to none. Sometimes you need to, if you use these fellas, for example, Gunzi, which is our fantastic colors, and you use them a lot, and they're also going to be used here. A problem with those is that they need to be thinned down to a degree where they start to run. When you're a little bit too long on one certain area, it's just going to run. And it also is when you want to thin them down, that they are have nice smooth edges. Then you have to thin them down heavily, which makes it a whole lot of wet affair. You have a lot of thinner on your paint coats again and again, which takes the drying time longer, and so on. And these little fellas here, they do really well. We start with just basic black, and I select a few panels here on that one. I would say the most complicated ones, that is the one with all those little hatches right here. The way to do it will be we put the decal right on top of that and mask off the hatches and paint the metal parts, these ones here, just on top of it. There's a decal beneath of that silver here, believe it or not. And we go on one neighbor panel there and focus on there and try to keep it simple. And for the brand new one, for the brand new wood, because we will have some drying time, meanwhile this is drying, we can play with a brand new section of wood, maybe somewhere here in that fuselage or maybe on the wing or so. So it should be interesting in terms of new wood and old wood. So the first thing that we're going to do is the aforementioned pre-shading. So these colors come with a little, or these paints come with a little steel ball inside. And I would say we just crank it up. Load our little across the airbrush right here. They do not need to be thinned. They just come out of the jar. So, a little bit of black. And I'm going to put one of those on the floor so I can dump some paint now and then. Okay, let's roll. We use two paints this time. First is black a little bit, and after this we go brown. Reducing the pressure just a tiny bit. 1 second, please. They dry very fast, so that means that we can go really close to the object without having it bleeding, or so allows us to paint very thin lines. So let's start over here in that area. A little bit irregularity as here and here is actually welcomed. It's not an accident. I don't paint straight lines. I make more like dots a little bit, so we have a little bit irregularity in there, especially here and here. Good, these are selected panels right there. Now we have to care for these hatches here. And what I did in the past was actually to always cut a proper mask for this. I have a punching, was it a punch hole plier, a punching plier, for example, that I use, but never have the right diameter. So I came to the idea to let myself, or to cut, let somebody cut a sheet with circular shaped paint masks, reusable, and on these ones here, here's some more. I will always find a proper diameter for my special task, and let's see which one we use here. I need just a dot for now. This is this one. There we go. And pliers. This is very handy stuff here. I've seen that there are paint mask manufacturer out there, and they release wheel masks, for example, for one tank or truck or whatever, and it's like 5 or 6 masks on that thing, and they're gonna charge you like $7, which I find to be a little bit out of proportion. And on this masks here we have I think about 90 masks, always in 0.5 millimeters steps, so you always have a proper mask for this type of jobs here. It's also very handy when it comes to these excess hatches here, and I will show you why. Sometimes we need to mask them up because these are metal, and also for shadows is it quite handy. I'm gonna show you this. now we can remove these masks and put them back on the carrier paper. And use them again. And now we have these little hatches nicely pointed out right here. This will be visible through. And they will have a different color, they will be silver, but we have a nice shadow around them. It's a 50% mask actually, because if we go with the airbrush on it, like we did here, then we have 100% on that line, right? We got 50% to the left, 50 to the right. And I love this 50% type of approach with a sharp line and a soft blending edge. You also can do it, like we did it here, with those panels, which means that we actually would have to mask right here along this panel line, and then mask it off, yep, and just give it a 50% and handle each panel separately in terms of light. It breaks up the model really nicely. Oh, another one. I have pre-painted this one here white. It's not just primer, it is white actually. The second color we're going to use here will also be white after the pre-shading is done. Sometimes I see it that people use the pre-shading right on the gray primer and try to achieve the color they want, which is maybe green or blue or red or whatever. And then in an attempt to get the coverage, all the pre-shading is gone. This method here is a little bit different and allows us to have more control, which means that we put the red, green or blue, whatever, in this case white first, then we apply the pre-shading, and then we just blend that pre-shading in with another layer of that paint. It's just more control. And I think so far we are good here. And now we blend it. Let's say we blend it just in using this paint. Oh, I forgot one. Use some brown before we go white. Almost forgot it. In this case, we take the trusty Gunzi. Again, there is nothing against these colors. These are really cool. Same as Tamiya, for example. But you need to thin them a little bit. And the good thing is that Edward has the same gun here as I have, so I'm pretty familiar with how many drops here in the jar to achieve what I want. But if that would be a different gun, I would probably not dare to do that, because it's so easy to create runs. Bleeds, as they say. Bleeding color. The reason why I use this one for pre-shading here was a second paint is that I have another variation in the pre-shading there. The way of doing it is the same as I did before. So we are here. I already have a little bit in mind what I am after, and when this is a wooden panel where we have the engine just behind it, so it's very likely that these areas here are affected by the engines inside. You know, with the old Mercedes-Benz D3 and so, these spilled oil like hell, and if you look in these in the compartments, sometimes it's really dirty. And it makes sense, logical wise, that if we here have a hatch, maintenance-wise, there is a hatch with a metal head, and it was open and closed, that the protective varnish on the real wood was damaged right there, so the oil had a opportunity to get into the wood, and if that is a little bit longer there, it will create a darker spot. It will be in the wood, wood will practically soak it, and maybe something is spilled out here, and it looks just logical. So especially here in this area, it's good to highlight this, or to pronounce that a little bit darker now already, right? And if there would be more hatches like that, I mean, the other one unfortunately a little bit more on the bottom, so it's not much to pronounce here. But if there would be another one, I also would give it like a dark area on the bottom of this particular hatch. So this is the preparation. We now set the light and the shadow already on that thing a little bit, because everything will be visible through the decal. We reduced this effect a little bit and put it in balance by using another layer of white right now. What you also can do is, and I've seen that and also did it actually, is when you have a circular or round shaped object like this one, then you could actually go so far and hit it from the bottom with a little thin misty layer of this brown. Then you have a little bit of a natural light setting in the fuselage already, like a natural light. So you have the bike and everything, it's quite dark, and the lower parts are, the back is very bright, and the lower parts are dark. Also makes sense on a car door, for example, whatever shaped kind of object. They call it the zenithal light. It's a little bit like color modulation, but in a different way. Just means that you pronounce everything above on top of the model a little bit higher, brighter, I'm sorry, and everything on the bottom a little bit darker. But we skip that for this one right here. So there's a lot of paint, we can go back. Did every one of you gentlemen already worked with wood grain decals? Any one of you? Did you work?
Once you gave me a sample.
Okay, how was it?
Tricky?
Tricky?
No, tricky because you're not like, you haven't done it a couple, you need to do it a couple of times I guess before you get the hang of it.
Mm-hmm.
But the effects are really subtle and really nice.
What was the tricky part especially?
Get the decals to lay down.
To lay them down?
Yeah. Well,
What, did you use something as a setter or a softer or something like that?
I think I used the old blue one.
The blue one?
Yeah.
This one here?
Micro set?
No, micro set, yeah.
Micro solo, macro sets.
Yeah,
This is
the micro
pretty
one.
much the same. I mean, it's not the same from a chemical division, but this is what Gunzi offers. It's the Mr. Mark setter. The first time I opened the thing, I always put my nose in something, and to see what it is. And it smelled very much like carpenter glue, and I do believe that this is actually the secret of this product, because this is like there's a sediment inside, and it looks like carpenter glue, and it smells like carpenter glue, so it probably is carpenter glue, at least to a certain amount.
Like a white glue?
Yeah, like this white carpenter glue, exactly. This is the new version of it, and it doesn't smell that strong anymore like carpenter glue, but still does. You can also, in case you work with wood grain decals or with decals in general, and you have to put masks on top of that. Like what Michael Rinaldi said just a little bit ago, he said mask is a good idea because it allows you chipping and stuff. Imagine that we have a decaled fuselage or whatever kind of decaled element, and we want to put chipping on top of that. Then we need to have a very strong connection of the decal with the ground, with the surface. And these agents are very helpful there. If this smells like white glue and looks like white glue, you probably can mix it with white glue, and that's what I did. So you can use, to enhance it, to make it stronger, you can use some carpenter white glue, put it right in there, mix it there, and you're gonna have an even stronger bond with the surface.
Do you lay it on when it's wet or half dry? The decals on that solution?
I put it on top of that quite wet, when it's wet. We're gonna do it right now. Just a few drops there.
Okay.
And I put the drops, first I cut the decal, put it in the water, put some drops on top of it. Meanwhile the decal is ready, and we put a decal on top. And put everything with a brush away from there. You smell that? It smells like this, like this carpenter stuff.
Skorlim.
Yeah, and something else.
And something else, that's right. And something else. Probably a thinning agent or something like that. or a drying time accelerator. That's type of stuff. But it's good stuff. I mean, if you don't want to mix your own stuff, it's quite handy. You don't need to mix it. It comes with a brush inside, and so I used it on a very frequent basis. Good. We have our pre-shading done here. We take some white and blend it all together. For the blending, I always start in the center of the panel concerned, and work myself outwards to the other area. So I start here in the middle and go outwards. Let me see if I can. I need to turn it. Unfortunately, I need to turn it towards my direction. It's a pity. Can I just turn it down? I would love to show you guys this. Let me see if you can catch that. It's a very uncomfortable angle. I would need to do it like that.
You can see afterwards.
Okay, I'm sorry. So stepwise, now we have the first layers reduced. You see that? It is comfortable, but not really. I don't know. Second time that I slip from it. That's how I always do it. I don't know if you guys do that as well. I always try to have that thing stable, if possible, on the ground or somewhere, and also the gun, and that allows me to aim precisely and to draw these rather straight lines and so on. To make it more random, I use this blending color now and reduce the pre-shading partially. As you can probably maybe can see over here in this end, I just brushed some other dots, right on that rather straight line to have more variation, more irregularity, as they say. Yeah, now we have maximum control. We decide right now how much of the airbrush of the pre-shading will be visible, because our target paint, our target color is already there, which is white. We don't have to worry about any coverage here. We just blend in the pre-shading. So the blending is generally done, and it's, when I turn it the other way around, maybe it's still a little bit too well visible. Yep, we have really everything is kind of blended in, but it's still a little bit too dark. Until now, I have tried to work very on points and very precisely, like hitting it here, and there. And now in the last step, I just blend it in from a rather big distance and just blend it to the way I want it. In case I reduced it too much in some areas, I still have the option to, at the very end, to use some transparent paints like smoke, for example, or Alclad also has some transparent paints right now on the market to emphasize the areas again, just in case. So this is where we are right now. Hold on a second. So this is where we are now. Edward, can you
Sure.
zoom in a little bit? Yeah. If that would be a finish for a model, so no decals need to be on top of that. If that would be a finish, I would even more reduce the contrast of it. It's still a little bit too strong. It's right there. It's on kind of on spot. I like it how it is, but it's still a bit too strong. The decal that we put on top of it right now will reduce these effects even more. This is why I allowed a little bit more contrast. All right, and this is what we can do right now. We switch now from the medium paint to the medium decal, a thing that we are used to. So, and for this we need a little bit of masking tape, which I have here. We need a lead pen, and of course a knife like this here, and a scissor. And as a scissor I brought the biggest one I could find, and some water, what we have here. Good. The first thing is that we need to bring the shape of the panel concerned on our little decal right here. I use tracing for this. It's very simple. Just take a little bit of masking tape, cut it off right there. This is the sort of kabuki tape. This is what Tamiya has as well. We have a manufacturer in Germany, it's called KIP, and this is like 25% the price of Tamiya with the identical properties. What I do here is reducing the adhesive force of it, because you never really know, even if you primed it like really good and maybe there was some grease or so, nothing is worse when you remove the tape and paint comes with it. It's very good to get used to it, because later on we're going to mask on top of a decal, and this is where we really need only a little bit of adhesive force. So reducing it almost down to zero, it just needs to be straight or just for a little while. Oh, another one is, if we don't reduce it, what we do now is we put it right here, trace the outline with a lead pen, put it right here on the decal and cut it. And in the early version, it has meanwhile has certainly improved the manufacture of this decal paper. It happened with the very early Ushi products. I remember that it was really a little bit of a pain all the time to remove that thing. It's better now, but I still want to be on the safe side so that we don't, when removing it, priority application that comes off from the carrier film. That's not the case anymore. I'm really thankful for that, thanks to my guys in Miami. But
when did that happen? When you fixed the decals? I have some all of the first you produced.
okay, are these still the ones with the manual, with the foldable manual?
I'm not sure. It's the one you have here on Olavsgård.
Leto 2012, I guess.
That was already fixed then.
Okay.
That was already, I think that was a version where there was no manual around it.
Maybe it's the first time when they made the one for the cars.
For the cars is the for the trucks, that one, right? Which was with oil paints, that stuff.
Yes.
Yes, that was also an early version. It could have been an early version, as long as there's a manual. If you go home, if it looks like that, if there's no manual around it,
okay,
then it is the new version. If there's still the manual around it, that's the elder version.
Okay.
If you wish, I'm gonna exchange that for you.
Okay.
If you wish. It's not saying this is not works. When you do this, when you reduce the adhesive force, it works. But these are a little bit more stable, even more. So actually, I can even ignore that step and try doing it, but there's still the risk. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but when you not use masking tape and you just cut it out and How is it?
No, that will be okay. This is
okay.
this is the same quality. It's just the film is the same. The film on the carrier paper is the same, but the adhesive they use a different glue right now, I think.
Okay.
Right, when they put this carrier film on top of the paper, this connection is now more stable. It was more unstable, but both from the very beginning, the film was very thin, and it
Okay.
will follow and snug even rivets, but being very stable, and actually you can pull it a little bit and stretch it at the same time. These are the requirements I had. It was a very difficult thing to source a proper decal paper. There's a lot on the market, but it needs to be durable. It needs so the shelf life needs to be there. So if you put it in like for 2 years, I expect the product, which is good, which is printed paper pretty much, I expect it to work after 2 years the same way like before 2 years. You know what I mean? So if you not put it on the heater or so. And I found this and also from very early versions, but there was still that little issue with the adhesive force.
Okay.
And that's the only issue. So if you wish to replace that, I'm at your
I have to
service.
see, but
Yeah.
I haven't used no.
Are we connected on Facebook, for example?
Yes.
Good. So you know where to get me. Right on. So, okay, just on top of here. And this is still quite sharp, but it could be a bit sharper. Where do we have the little... I had one here. I brought it extra with me. Where is it? Oops. Oh, there it is. So we make that a little bit hot. Good. And we trace that. I search for the engraved pen line. There I got it. I hope. Right on. This is how it looks there. You may wonder why I use these separately and not do the entire fuselage. I mean, this is a we have a in parts repetitive pattern here for this one, but I always try to use a nice section that I think that fits nice. So maybe this one here, or maybe from here, a little bit with a white shadow inside, with darkened shadow inside. This variation here, so I use them all separately. This is also what you can see on the actual aircraft. They have panels for each frame, the internal frame, and they put a panel on each frame and use not one that is. We have one not very far from where I live. We have a very nice D3, Albatros D3, restored from the Deutsches Museum, the German museum in Munich. And it's very good to see how a brand new aircraft must have looked like. It's a rough pre-cut. In case if the shape is not 100% precise, that's not a problem, because you also can, I don't know why I'm doing this way actually, what you also can do is just put it on there roughly and follow with the knife those panel lines. Then you also would have to shape. But what I have discovered is that sometimes if your knife is not sharp enough, then it lifts a little bit. It's a little bit uncomfortable because sometimes it comes a little bit with it and so, and on the edges you need to cut it right on the edge and so on. And I like to use them pre-cut actually. Under these field conditions right here, having you as my audience, you may, but I have to do a mistake here to take it serious at home. I hope that's gonna go well right now, especially if it
When you
was.
apply the decal, like the wood grain,
Yes, sir.
I guess when you apply that on a plane, the wood grain would be horizontal.
Yes. No, vertical actually.
Vertical?
Yes.
Because that's the strongness in the
One second,
in the
oh,
tree,
Oh,
in the wood.
1 second. You are right. It's first of all, it's not
It's not
vertical.
horizontal.
It's horizontal. First of
Horizontal,
all,
yeah.
I'm sorry. And what I did in the beginning, I was like, I sometimes also did it diagonal, right? Just to break up the monotony. I did it like that. Applied the decal in that way, until someone pointed out to me that was not the way how they did it. And then I checked for this detail as far as I could see something on those black and white photos and on this replica, which was a few 1 year or 2 years later. And indeed, he was right.
I think you can think about if you watch a piece of paper, an A4 paper also.
Mhm.
You can see that it's always it's more bendable on the diagonal than long. Basically, that's,
Yeah, that's right.
the way that the paper
Yeah.
fibers are. So basically, that's what you're doing
Yeah.
with the tree or the.
With the
The
timbers.
panels, yeah, the
Today,
tree panels.
yeah.
Down the middle.
Yep. Yep.
In the water.
Ikke nødvendigvis legger
Cellen,
Ja,
ja, riktig.
så legger du diagonalt. Men de
Det er jo
lager pleier som regel å være følger
For
De
flis
ligger
så
jo
pleier det å være
først
bare
i
et lag,
platen fire
på grunn av-
lenger, så den
Ja,
det-
laminerer den. Så det er derfor du får styrke.
Ja.
De kan ha brukt på det før.
Should it be okay to be pulled off right now? Oops, there we go. That is how I wanted, correct. Let me see, this is a bit tricky here. We zoom in with the camera quite nice. Where are we? I'm here. Where am I? There I am. Good. I move it a little bit, grab the paper, and push it back. So now my tweezer is beneath the decal with a bit more water. Have it like that. So and this is what Edward said, which is difficult. Right, Edward? Was that where you said it's difficult?
Yeah. That was the tricky part. But I didn't take each panel. I just tried to take a bigger.
The whole plate.
Yeah, well, the bigger part. So of course, if you
finish it.
the only way to eat an elephant is take it by eat it in pieces, I guess. So it's,
No,
Yeah.
you didn't put some glue on, or? Oh,
So, the shape is, as expected, not 100% okay, but it's not a problem. We can see the effect, and I will allow it a little bit to dry and cut off the excess a little bit later. What we can here already see here already is what I tried to mention before, that our little pre-shading is visible nicely through the decal already. So, if you remember, and you can still see it here on the edges here, there and there. It's still visible. Okay, so next panel. Next panel is a bit tricky because all of them hatches into funky shapes, but we're gonna manage this. This is for me the tricky part. To create a mask, or yeah, no, a piece of masking tape that really fits as good as possible. So length is okay, just a bit shorter, that's more easy to handle. I'll make this later, reduce the as a force. If I would put it here right now and put the masking tape on top of that freshly applied decal, it would lift off for sure. And that's the reason why I work here from the left to the right or along those panel lines, because all I gotta do right now here is align it right next to it, like this. and avoid any further contact with the decal itself. You don't need to be a 100,000% precise here and being afraid that you have gaps in here or so, because this decal film is a bit stretchable. You can push it and pull it a little bit until it really fits. In case it is too large and is a little bit above of the neighboring decal, for example, it will create a very thin line. It really, and this it will be darker, right? Because there's one transparency and another transparency. It will create a dark, thin line, which is a very nice panel line there. I have one guy, James Hedge, he built a German Natter, this, you know, Natter, this one-man wooden rocket kind of thing. He built that for AFV, for air model or anything, and he used it by purpose. So he had dark hatches, and on the dark hatches, he just put 2 decals on top of it. So he had a darker area there. So he used that actually to the extent. So don't be afraid. It's very user-friendly. Goody goody, but that's a tough shape to hit here. So we have it. It's not 100% precise, but it doesn't matter. Again, we select a nice piece here. More contrast, less contrast. I take the one with the little. What did I have before? This one. Okay, let's take this one back. Okay. I speed things up for you guys a little bit. And don't care about precision, but here we have a quite precise work then, and you can check it out later how it actually is supposed to look like. This is just about the method. That's good. So let's see if we have the shape. Yeah. Major parts, we got it. That's a bit shorter. Good. Right on then. Let's hit it. Water.
How long does the decal need to dry before you can start like to work
I
on the
can-
surface on it?
I can actually seal it right now. Right now, the one we just have applied can be sealed right now, and I will. The other one that we apply right